So are we live yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we're live on Facebook, and welcome to North Dallas Addison Networkers. And today you're in for a treat. We have Jena Apgar here who's going to be talking about writing copy that sells. For those of you who don't know, Jena's been in the digital marketing space, has an awesome story coming from single mom, doing all kinds of things to now leading a great agency here, Warfare Marketing, and I'm very excited to call her a partner in the Business Growth Network and a number of other things. We've been together for a little while, and so I just appreciate her commitment to helping entrepreneurs, small business owners really get their message out, and especially in the digital marketing space. So if you will join me in welcoming Jena Apgar.
For those of y'all who are not normal, I think you came last. For those of you who came last week and I spoke, I've been putting these together. So a lot of these are coming from the people who are going through our 90-day challenge, Double My Business Challenge. And on Mondays, we're spending all day answering their questions and taking them through specific training that's longer and more strategic than I could ever do up here. So the things that I've kind of been choosing to cover are when I see their lights, like the lights in their eyes go, whoa, how would I never know that? And as much as I know some of the people going through, that's kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. When I'm going through stuff I've already gone through over and over and over again, and then somebody else, a guy says something, and they're like, oh, that makes sense. One of those is copy. Now, we spent all day on copy, and we'll spend the rest of next Monday still working on copy. So copy's obviously not the easiest thing in the world. David Ogilvy, who anybody know Don Draper, the Mad Men? Mm-hmm. That was pretty much modeled after him. That was him, his personality, his stuff. They modeled it after. Brilliant copywriter, but how do you model that? He spent an entire year writing one letter. Mm-hmm. One letter that goes on to make multi-millions and is still used today by the Smithsonian. There's one letter by the Wall Street Journal that has been copied so many times in advertising and marketing letters now that it's almost to the point of obnoxious. As someone who knows the Wall Street letter, who's written copy off the Wall Street letter, you look at it and you're like, that's the Wall Street letter. It doesn't say Wall Street, it says something else, or the Wall Street Journal letter. And that's cool. Have you ever seen a piece of marketing that you just looked at and you don't even need the product or service, but you're like, I just want it now. It just reached out to your heart and it said something really meaningful, right? Keep that shit. File it away, because if it caught your attention, it's going to catch someone else's attention. And literally, and I'm going to give you some basically headlines. Anybody do Mad Libs as a kid? You buy the books and it has all the lines in it, and it says put an adjective here, put a noun here, and sometimes you don't even know what you're tossing in there, and then you read the story and it's hilarious, right? That works in copy too. That's how people copy the Wall Street letter. You just take it, and everywhere it says Wall Street Journal, you put your name. Everywhere there's a benefit, you put your benefit. Everywhere there's a feature, you put your feature. So now I've just used two words, and you're like, what the hell is a benefit and a feature? Are those the same thing? So the first thing you need to know about writing good copy, and this is what kind of caught everybody off guard. They're like, I thought we were talking about avatars tomorrow. We are for the 90-day group. You cannot write good copy unless you know exactly who you're talking to. And I don't mean the general demographics, that I'm talking to somebody between the ages of 35 and 55 living in Collin County with 3 dogs, 2 kids, and 4.5 wives. No one's listening? I don't want face. I'll throw a couple of Easter eggs out. I want to know that I'm specifically talking to David Roberts, who's this age, who does this job at this company, owns his own business, works approximately 2 hours a week, plays golf for 8 hours at this particular country club, watches CSI every night. This is not David. I'm just kind of throwing stuff. I'm not going to put his personal life out there. Goes on date night every weekend with his wife, has 5 kids and 25 grandkids now, right?
Working on it.
I want to know this person so in-depthly that you could have a conversation with them every single day of the week, and almost get a little creepy, weird, and like you belong in a mental institution. For those who have like gotten to know me more, we've been working a ton in Kartra. It is not a full CRM for those of you who know the management systems, but you can put notes in there, and even there, on every single person, I want to know if they drink tea or Coke or watch Shark Tank or whatever it is they do. If they say in a conversation, if they put it in an email, if I hear about it, I want it in my notes section. Because if I decide to build a customer avatar off of them, I want real information. So there's 3 ways to build that avatar really in-depthly. I'll start with the worst way, and that's just to research it online. You can go to, if you don't have testimonials, those are the best ones. Pull your own testimonials and see what people actually say about you. But go to your competitor's testimonial. Like, everybody has a competitor. You're like, I'd like to be that company, right? Go to that person and see what their customers are saying about them. And I want the exact words, like copy paste that, put it over into your avatar, like work in Google document, put all this information in there. The exact words they use, because the words we might come up with as professionals and the jargon we use are not the same. One of my peers was putting together a billboard campaign for a very large Fortune 100 company, and one of the things, they were trying to keep it really short and saying, hey, buy this product instead of going hours away to Dallas. But they did a little bit of market research. Doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to hire those team in the rooms, the glass mirrors. You just call someone on the phone, offer them $20 to talk to you for a little bit. Take those words they use and write it down, because they ended up changing the entire billboard to say from miles away. Does anybody, hey, Eric, how far is Austin?
About 3.5 hours.
Did he say miles?
No.
We don't say miles in Texas. We're too freaking big.
I can tell you the miles. but
That
it doesn't matter.
requires effort to do that kind of math. We say hours away. So now instead of the billboard saying miles away, it says hours away. They have entered our conversation. So you cannot write good copy unless you know the person that you are actually talking to. The way somebody in South Dallas is going to have a conversation, and we're not talking like Kessler Park, South Dallas, we're talking like Fair Park, South Dallas, is going to be completely different than how somebody in Frisco, in, what's that really expensive Starwood lives? Completely different conversations. They dress differently, they act differently, they talk differently. The little micro words that they use are just different. Neither one's wrong, but if they're your customer, how you address them must be different to build rapport so you can close a sale. Does that make sense? So I cannot, that was the first way. First way is to guess. Read those testimonials. The second one is you're probably, and a lot of people, are going to be your own avatar. Like, there is something you did, and you're like, I have to figure this out. And so you go figure it out, and you're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this now. And then you go do the thing that you used to need to know. You can base it off, you just have to make sure you base it off the old you and still go do the research to justify it, because again, we have bias. My favorite, bestest way is to get someone on Facebook Messenger, go on LinkedIn, and offer them $25 as an Amazon gift card, just to chat with them for 20 minutes. Most of my conversations turn into 1 hour to an hour and a half, I think is my max. I get my best information just by letting people run on. Asking them questions about the product, asking them questions about their life goals. Hey, what made you move up to Frisco? What made you go decide on this school? What made you do this? What is it that you think about? Like, when you're buying this particular product or service, what are your objections? Like, what happens when somebody, a financial advisor, sees you at a networking group and says, hey, would you like to sit down for coffee? Like, I can tell you right now, a financial advisor cannot even ask me for coffee at a networking meeting. I already know they're going to pitch me, I already know what they're going to pitch me about, and I'm just like, don't want to talk to you. Nothing personal, that's just my own personal objections right up front, right? When you know that information, you can then use that information to find little angles and loopholes around it, right? Writing good copy, first things first, you have to know who you're talking to, the words they say, and also the mentality that they bring to the table. There are some guys, so the example that Ryan was using yesterday was a very, how do we say this nicely? Right-wing, lower education, backwoods, hunter, NRA member, goes to Rotary Club, Lions Club, hunts, fishes, that kind of person. One of the things of the mentality that you had to know up front was he thinks he's always right. No matter what the conversation is, he's always right. So then that changes the conversation of your copy. You're never informing him because he already knows. You're now agreeing with him. You're now saying things like, we need to get back to some good old-fashioned common sense. Versus saying, let me teach you. Like there are some people, if I'm talking to a younger individual who's like 18, I can say, let me teach you, and I'm going to get their attention. Let me train you. Let me educate you. Let me mentor you. If I did that and I said that to this guy, he's going to be like, I already know everything. Can't teach me nothing. Whereas if I had come up to him and like, look, it's just some good old common sense that you need a life insurance policy and a will. Because now he's going to go back into what he already knows, and you're just reaffirming what he knows. And then you can even talk about it, and the nature of how you talk about it is like, hey, did you know that this policy does this, this, and that? He's not going to do it. Man, you already know that the best way to do this is to have this 401k rolled up, but we always forget. The nature of that conversation changes because you know their mentality. Does that make sense? That's a little bit more harder to get into someone's head. You have to really get to know your customer. You have to sit some one-on-one time. That's one of these networking events. One of the best things you can do is just have coffee for people just to get to know them. Because if they are your potential client, don't sell to them. Use them as a client avatar and interrogate them. That is my background, by the way. So I'm terrible at it. I even do it at the pool. I went around and I was walking around my apartment pool this weekend. Since we had the kids out there and other people were out there, I was just walking up to strangers. Hey, how you doing? We have some toys. Your kids are welcome to use them. Hey, why are you living here? Why did you move here? What do you do for a living? I'm terrible. I cannot even help myself. The second thing you need to do is have some kind of, I would call it a product market fit. So I mentioned that word feature and benefit, right? Feature, benefit, thread are the three things that I really need you to know before we can even go on to the bullet points. How in the world do you get those, and what does that even mean? So product market fit, I'm basically taking a piece of paper, dividing it in half, long ways, and then I'm dividing it in half the other way and half again, so there's 8 little boxes. On one side, I have the before column, before you came into their life, and on the other side, I have the after column, which is after you came in your life. For the financial advisors, this is probably a really big deal for you. For Sean, who gives people stories, really big. Real estate investors, it's still big for you. Like, there is no industry that it does not apply to. If you sell a widget and a pair of nail clippers, it applies to you because my nails look one way before and one way after, right? If you go on vacation, it applies to you. Like, it literally applies to absolutely everything. The have is at the very top. What does somebody have before you and after you? Those are called features. That is, the sofa is 36 inches tall by 36 inches deep by 84 inches across. It weighs 300 pounds. It is made of velour that has been tested up to, 6,000 rubs. Did y'all know that material gets tested in rubs? Like, there's literally a thing that just sits there and rubs on fabric, and to see how many times you could rub on the fabric before it starts tearing apart. These are all features. That's it. No one cares about the features of a sofa. Nobody buys a sofa because of the features, right? Do you need to know the features? Does it matter? Like, you've already made the buying decision in your head that I want that sofa. And then you see that it's 84 inches long and you're like, that's not going to fit on my wall. It would stick out by 2 feet. I need to find a shorter sofa, right? And then you might change the parameters. But you're buying it based off of a look and a lifestyle that you think it's going to bring to your life, right? Not on the features. You need to know the features. And if you go onto the Nebraska Furniture Mart site, you will notice they usually hide those features and those product specs. You need to know them. It's not why you buy the sofa. Does that make sense? So the have, before, they have no sofa. Afterwards, they have a sofa with all these specs. You need to know that about, and this is crazy, every single freaking product that you offer. Every single one of them. So it's not just like for the financial advisors. It's not just you as a person come into their life before and after. It is which product are you bringing them? And how does that affect them before and after? Because in theory, you can sell them multiple products, right? Yep. They all have different features. What a life insurance policy with like annuity fancy stuff offers me versus me investing in some, money. You can tell how intelligent I am here. Money market is completely different, right? Need to know one for each one of the products. The next one is going to be how somebody feels, because that's where we start buying, right? We make almost every buying decision with our emotions. This is where Sean steps in. How does somebody feel before they have you and after they have you? You really don't want that to be indifference. You want to have an emotional pull. Right now they're really frustrated, but you stepped in with the sofa and now they have somewhere to sit and their legs aren't all cracked and they're not all uncomfortable, right? Same thing with every other thing. How do you make them feel before and after? If they don't have a website and I come in and I build them a website that's not just a website, but that it actively brings them leads, it processes them with sequences, and it cultivates them month over month, and they can go in there and they can see how things are doing and how much every single email they send out, how much money does that email make them, they're going to be really freaking happy. And then if I tell them, all you have to do is send leads to this page. If every day you send 100 leads to this page, your conversion rate is at least 10% if you suck. That makes them happy, and now they are relieved because it's also easy. So if you go up, like anywhere on the internet, feeling words, Google that, there's like a list of 30. I think I even have a list over here. I printed out for myself for the people yesterday. Get all the feeling words and just blot them down in the 2 specs. Circle the top 3 on each side that you called somebody and they said, right? Use the words they said. Next one is going to be, what is their actual day change before and afterwards? So that's where you can actually start making days really easy. So for the financial advisors, that can be tough, right? Because you're not changing someone's actual day to day, right? You're changing what their average day in the future is going to look like. So their average day, if they don't get your future planning products, could be really fucking grim, right? How much does Social Security pay every month? Sucky. I don't think anybody's actually looked at how much Social Security is going to pay out per month, because I can tell you how much I spend every month way over exceeds what Social Security pays out. And then if you add to the millennial generation, how old are y'all guys? That's so...
29.
Yeah. 27. It's not going to be there for us. We've already planned out it's not going to happen, right? So I may or may not have this really terrible monthly payment that may not even be there because everyone else has spent it that's older than me. Sean, David, looking at your generation.
I got it. Got you covered.
So then what happens? If that's what I'm looking at, well, now let's say I built a business. You said you specialize in business owners specifically. Can your business owners sell it? Do they actually have an asset that they can pass on? Do they have a full book of continuity SOPs that tells somebody how to run the business? Can the business operate without them? Can they actually sell it for $100,000 even? Much less $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million? They might not have a business that's an asset and they have to plan on working forever. That sucks. That's a terrible average day, working forever, getting a really terrible Social Security that may or may not even happen. Versus the average day, if they plan with you, is you're going to hook them up with a business advisor to get some SOPs and processes in place. If they have an asset to sell, you're going to introduce them to a business broker who can teach them also how to get those things in place and tell them what their current value is versus if they make some changes. So you're going to be now the point man that's going to be bringing everything in their financial future together. And then you're also going to give them some life insurance policies that they can take loans out against so that they're not only to plan for in the case that they die, but after they hit a certain age, they can start actually pulling out the money that they've been investing all this time. So they've essentially got an annuity plan and their own Social Security that's now going to pay them out $4,000 a month. See the picture I painted? Anybody else want the plan I just started describing? It sounds pretty cool, right? I actually just got that one. That's how you can definitely get someone to jump on board. When you can change their average day. Real estate investors, they have a really house that they just got, someone passed away, it's lumped on them, the grass is growing, the toilets are clogged, they don't want to mess it, just get rid of it. Y'all step in, your average day, you just had this big burden, your parent just died, you're sad, you didn't want to deal with it at all, you just took care of it, their average day is there. They don't have the weight off their shoulders, big bag of bricks just taken right off. That's been taken care of. All the kids have a little money in their pockets, everyone's better for it. Now there's somebody living in the house that actually wants to be there. Grass is mowed, kids are happy, yay! Knowing that average day, that will close the sale. If you can paint that in your copy, I don't want to get away from that, if you can paint that average day in their future of what they could have if they were working with you, how can you not sell it? Right? I don't always want to know that I just need life insurance because I don't want to end up in a cardboard box being burnt. That's actually my preferred method. You're not changing anything for me. Paint the picture of how I'm going to live going up. Paint the picture of how my kids are not going to have to deal with everything because everything's been squared away, and all they have to do is open this little book and everything is outlined for them. My kids have an easier time and they don't have to deal with what I'm going through passing away. Level 4, change their status. That is much, much more difficult. It gets it a little bit into La La Land, but we're thinking more of like David Roberts. If anything were possible and they did everything I said and everything went the right way, what would that perfect outcome be? What would their status change be? People do not buy. I just went on a plane to Norway and Belgium. Nobody buys the pieces of paper tickets so they can sit in like sardines in a little metal tin can flying through the air where they might possibly crash into the ocean and die. Nobody does that. They buy so that they can go travel. They can be travelers, international travelers, so they can sit on a beach with their little hot dog legs in the picture, right? You've changed their status. They're the type of people who get to travel. You've changed their average day. They've been packing for the last 6 months, buying special clothes, but you've also changed the status. You don't realize the status change. Like I was talking to someone at a birthday party, and I was like, oh, where are you vacationing this summer? Oh, we're just going to San Antonio. Well, I didn't mean you to say it that way. San Antonio is great. What's wrong with San Antonio? Oh, it's not a big deal. We're just going to go for the weekend and go see the... I was like, oh, and she's like, well, what have y'all done? I was like, we just got back from Norway and Belgium, and you can just see her eyes light up, and something I don't think much of is a status change. She views me differently because I just told her I went to Belgium and Norway. Probably doesn't hurt that those are crazy locations. Who goes to Norway on their vacation? Apparently my husband, who wanted to see Smashing Pumpkins. Changing that status is almost a guaranteed. People have a high level of vanity. They want to look good themselves so that they can say to other people, this is something Sean said, they want to buy something that they can brag about. Nobody buys a Bentley because they want to drive around in a slightly nicer car. They buy a Bentley because of how everyone else looks at them because they drive a Bentley. Anybody have a dream car like a Lambo, Bentley? What are the dream cars? Oh, did you raise your hand?
Yeah.
What's your dream car?
Nissan GTR.
Is it fast?
Yeah.
Okay. Not a car person either. What's yours?
What's one?
Yeah. Everyone's got one.
Yeah, I have kind of two, but really, I'm an old American muscle guy, so I like an older Mustang, 66, 67.
Like Shelby?
No, I kind of wouldn't mind just a 66 regular.
Oh, I have no idea.
With a 308 in it. I mean, that's it. Or 302 in it. I mean, that'd be...
Those are dream cars. And there's a reason. There's something in your childhood, you probably saw a really sweet one in a movie, or like your dad dreamed of. There's a reason you love the dream car. It's a status symbol. Everyone loves driving around their dream car. I don't get the cars. It's not my gig. I'd rather have like a big pimped out van where I don't have to drive. I'm gonna sit in the back with the driver.
I was going to say, yeah, I said I have a car, but
Yeah.
I'd rather spend that money traveling the world.
There you go. A lot of women, it could be a purse. Somehow carrying this overpriced $3,000 bag with some logo all over it changes their status to all the other women, even though they don't know 80% of them are knockoffs. That status change, if you can offer somebody that vanity metric, they'll buy every time. People buy for 3 different core reasons: health, wealth, and relationships. How do you change those? How do you even go across those different ones? So you're a real estate investor. Let's say, I don't think that's what you do. Let's say you trained other future real estate investors, right? You're selling wealth, obviously, right? But don't you think people want wealth for the relationships? I know a lot of guys I've talked to, they're like, yeah, I've already acknowledged that I'm short and ugly and overweight, and none of that's going to change because I like tacos. But I figured if I make $1 million before I turn 23 and I keep on going and I put those in investments, then eventually by the time I'm 30, I'll get a girl who just likes me for my money. Did that just come out of his mouth? All right, whatever. You can start to then sell that product not just based on the wealth, but based on the relationships it's going to create. You can even bridge that over to health and say when you make all that money, you can afford to have the private trainer, you can afford to have the best meals cooked for you, you can have all the wealth and relationships that your money can afford, and we're going to give that to you. So when you can try to take your product and sell it across all 3 of those core categories, you're really going to pique somebody's interest. All right. So given that, going into the copy, Features, remember those half. The couch is 84 inches, right? Benefits, if you need a short way to figure out the benefit, take your feature, the couch is 84 inches, and say so that at the end. The sofa is 84 inches so that a guy who's really tall can actually completely lay down and sleep on his sofa. The investment vehicle, pick something, a feature of an investment vehicle. It's fluid. You can add more money. There's a minimum level, but you can always add more money in it so that you can increase the money that you can take out when you're older so that you can have more money to spend on that vacation, right? Take your feature, say so that, now you have your benefit. Does that make sense? The other one that we're going to work with here in a second is the threat. What happens if they don't do what you offer? What happens if they don't sell their house and they've just got to somehow do it on their own or get a realtor or maintain it themselves or rent it out themselves? What are all the worst case possibilities? So Eric, he's ex-military with me. In the military, we focus on three things: best case, worst case, and most probable. I want you to focus on the best case, and in the threat section, what is the worst case? What is the most terrible situation you can think of if they don't do what you say? And be actively looking for those scenarios out in the world so that you have those stories to tell, because stories are going to be most of marketing. So think about the other day I was at Chick-fil-A for the financial advisors, and there was somebody, she had to be like 86, completely hunched back, walking around trying to clean up everybody's tables. And I was like, that is so sad. I was like, why did they even hire her? She's walking very slow. A 16-year-old could have done 5 times the work as this woman. And the fact that she's trying to pick up my tray, I'm like, no, really, no, it's my tray, no, mine. Like, I cannot possibly let you pick up my tray. This is not how the system works. I'm healthy. I've got 2 very healthy working legs. I can pick up my own tray and take it to the trash can. Is that what anybody wants their parent to have to be at 86? Does anybody want to be that at 86? That's terrible, right? When you can tell those stories, and casually, so networking events, right? You go to the Wednesday meeting. The Wednesday meeting starts at 11:30, but it doesn't actually kick off to 12, very similar to this one. You have 30 freaking minutes to tell stories. Hey, Bob, how you doing today? Oh, you know what? I just got back from Chick-fil-A, and I just saw the saddest sight. Tell the same story. Hopefully it's your own. Hopefully it's somewhat true, right? Don't just completely make this stuff up. Have some integrity. You know, I just wonder, like, this is why I do what I do. Like, what if her kids had thought to tell her that she needed to have some, systems in place so this didn't happen? What about their kids? Like, I don't want to end up that way. I don't want my kids, I don't want my friends to end up that way. Like, on Facebook right now, we're all partying and drinking. What happens in 40 years? I don't want us on Facebook to, be hiding what we're doing because we're hobbling around at Chick-fil-A carrying people's trays like a pity job. You could tell a story. How long do you think you could draw out a story, Sean?
I'm sorry?
How long do you think you could draw out a story?
Forever?
You could at least get 10 minutes out of it.
Oh, good Lord, yeah.
That would be easy. So you get 30 seconds at the meeting, formally, right? You could dominate 10 minutes before the meeting. Easy. I don't like people, and I can figure out how to get a story to go 10 minutes. All right? So I'm going to go into these. I'm actually going to mute my computer so I don't have to keep on walking in front of you. But you do have to understand the concept of those threat benefits before. So the idea here...
15 minutes.
15? Oh, I got plenty. He knows I go over, and I'll keep going. The concept here is everything is copy. If you have to write, it's copy. If you have to write, these bullets will at least get you started. I'm not saying that there might not be a story to tell at some point. These copies are going to be more like the call to action. So anytime you're actually trying to sell, it's a hook, line, and sinker, fishing metaphor, right? The hook can be an image that catches someone's attention. It can be the story that catches someone's attention. It's just catching someone's attention. I've walked in the networking meeting before on a cold day wearing a giant bear hat. I didn't have to do anything to get attention. I'm wearing the attention, right? Everyone's like, what the? It's cold, I get it, but okay. What are you, a cat? It's a bear, it's fuzzy. See the ears, they're round, not pointy, whatever. You've got to hook their attention somehow. I see the financial advisors, they're usually like all the slicked, you know, they got the blue, sports jacket on, the brown shoes, brown and blue. He mixed it up with gray. He mixed it up with a gray jacket. We had someone here who was a clothier. How do you say that? Clothier. Bright pink shirt, bow tie, looking all spiffy. Especially if it relates to your business, you want to emote the thing that you're selling, right? But somehow get their attention, right? Tell a story, because stories sell, and then sinker call to action. So these are really going to take the place of calling to action, and you can probably slide them into stories or even use them for the hook, depending on the settings you've been given. Every social media post, we're not even talking just like blog posts, you know, trying to come up with blog headlines or anything like that. These can be the bullets that are in your sales copy and your emails. These can be in the words you actually say. It's not just a written word. If you get good at writing them, you'll start good at like saying these words out loud. If I do a workshop, I'm using these in the headline of the meetup group. What am I talking about? I'm talking about da-da-da-da. Like, I literally use these. These are like the 10 easiest cheat sheet pieces you will ever see. Let's see if I can make it small. The first one, I'm going to try to like cut them off so you don't get ahead of me here, is a simple how-to bullet. Anytime, some people just like to know how to do things. We all like to be self-sufficient to some degree in at least some areas. It's really simple. How to feature so you can benefit. How to invest like a millionaire so you can retire at 30. Anybody want that one? I've already passed that prime. This is the absolute easiest one. It gets attention every time. You can see it in every blog post that you like. You know how like you're reading the news on CNN or something, and the tabula or something like some syndicated advertisement has the news stories they blend in, and they always have those pictures and headlines that grab your attention. You know, how to stay fit so you can hit the beach in 10 weeks. Or actually be like in 1 week. In 10 hours. It'd be like crazy. That is the absolute easiest one. And then here's the kind of like the flip side, bringing in the threat. The feature, the financial planning that helps you avoid working at Walmart when you're 86 so you can retire at 40. All these things sound like really attractive, right? As long as you can make them somewhat true. I think I was watching the movie. Anybody here have HBO? Or they cancel it after Game of Thrones? There's a really good movie. I don't know if it's available off HBO. It's called Brexit. Which, not getting political whatsoever, it was a great use of marketing and digital marketing technology. And one of the things they did was they found the most truthful thing they could say, the largest payment they had made to the EU as a payment for being part of the EU, and said, what if our $3.2 million could go back to the NHS? So that, basically, so that you can benefit and have better health care. What if we could stop paying the enemy? You're giving that threat and then following it up with a benefit. If you've ever had to give your kids some cough medicine or take it yourself, it'd be nicer if you could like put some flavoring in it, right? So don't just give a threat without offering a solution. Don't just scare them. Got to give them some kind of solution. If you're ever going to a networking meeting, I always try to have like some kind of piece of paper or something. Like everyone gives business cards, right? The business cards go in my pocket or in my purse and then in the trash can. I have great intentions. They'll sit in my purse for a long time. I'll forget why I even kept the card, and they go in the trash can. What if you had a quick piece of paper that you could put together, the list bullet, 10 easy tips to tell your stories that create more sales in 1 hour. 10 little things that somebody could do. I could literally print this sheet out with a few directions at the top, and of course my business card information at the bottom. Hopefully with one of these that says, you know, if you'd like to sit down for a full audit of your financial health, well-being, I don't know, something, go to this link and set an appointment. We'll have coffee. I'll bring the coffee. Something of that nature. Something that's a little bit more of a give me, right? the piggyback bullet. I thought this one was bullshit until I actually did it, and it worked really freaking well. There are some people, if you go online, people just want to know about them. I'm unfortunately not that person yet, so don't use me. The one that I happened to use was my mentor, Ryan Dice. I actually outranked Ryan for Ryan's own name in a couple of areas. Sir Richard Branson, he's a misogynist, but it works. Gosh, Trump now. Love him or hate him, that word just does really well on search terms. Anybody that has, people just want to know about them. And this, you can totally use the newsjacking method, so it could be something that's a current, like something that just happens immediately. During the election cycle, a popular way to use this is, let's say in digital marketing, who did digital marketing better, Trump or Clinton? I get to play off two, right? So this one is just how to build wealth like Warren Buffett. So even though nobody knows you, even though maybe you don't have the age to say, I know everything, Warren Buffett does. So you're saying, I can't possibly know everything, but I have learned how to do something exactly like Warren Buffett because he lays it out. It's common knowledge, right? I'm going to show you how to invest just like Warren Buffett. If somebody thinks Warren Buffett is like the best thing since sliced bread, they're going to pay attention to that. That shows up in search results. Does that one make sense to everyone?
Yep.
It works. I quadrupled traffic with that one in 1 week. Next one is going to be the give me bullet. So going back to that feature, that gets a benefit, and then you're just giving them a little bit of that information up front, right? Let's see, this one's always hard for me to ad-lib. The investment strategy that'll help you retire by 40. Jump into real estate now. You're just kind of giving them a little idea, a hint of what that method is. So especially in something like, so I told you health, wealth, and relationships. You can further take those down. Let's just say wealth. You can niche those down even further. That's a whole niching conversation we had yesterday. It could be real estate wealth. It could be investment, stock market wealth. It could be business wealth, e-commerce wealth, gambling wealth. I suppose that's an option. But if I just tell somebody they're going to learn real estate, if they've already been to a lot of real estate conferences, there's a lot. Each one's a little different. They might have they might be turned off by that. So let's say you can niche down a little further. The real estate method that gets you 6 figures in income every month, flipping houses is key. So now I know that they're not doing wholesaling, they're flipping. The Seth Godin bullet, that's really funny. Seth Godin is known for the purple cow. He's big into marketing. Anybody know what the purple cow is? One that got me, what's the football phone method? My own advertising from my own mentor, after years, I was finally brave enough to say, what the hell's the football phone method?
Sports Illustrated.
It's the Sports Illustrated. They sold magazines, not by selling magazines that were not tangible. They said, we're going to give you a free football phone for every subscription. And they had the video of them throwing around a football. So they just carried that over to their marketing, not Sports Illustrated, but digital marketer, my mentor, and they said the football phone method that triple sells. What the hell's the football? Now people ask questions. I want to triple sells. What's the football? Now you've started a conversation, right? So the Seth Godin bullet is just the curiously named feature that gets that awesome benefit. The football phone method that triple sells. Now people start asking questions. I feel like this one takes a little longer. You have to have a good story. It has to make sense. It has to have that moment when you hear it, you're like, oh, the football phone method, right? But once you get into that thing and once you kind of start to culminate your own personal style, there will be something that just triggers things. The zombie quiz. The zombie vision plan that hits goals, and I don't know, we'd have to work on that one.
Yeah.
But you get the idea, right? Making something just off the wall wacky. David's taken the zombie thing all the way. If you're gonna, Seth Godin has taken the purple cow all the way. There's the whole book in there, the purple cow something. You just saw that one. The other one is going to be the urgency. The feature that gets the benefit, and then it's going to have some kind of urgency attached or novelty. So the concept is, hey, this is a new method of investing. Get in now before the Warren Buffetts take over. Or it can be that, hey, we're doing the 90-day Double My Business Challenge. It's the first time I'm offering it. The intent was to have college students in here. So we're going to start on June 3rd. Get in now or forever hold your peace, right? There's some kind of urgency that they have to make the decision now. Go buy tickets to Smashing Pumpkins now before they sell out for their European tour. Don't forget to book your travel right this moment. I think my husband bought the tickets at 1:30 in the morning, and I wasn't even in town. He did it without my knowledge. I was in San Diego, and all of a sudden, I am apparently going to Norway. So it's just that feature that gets that benefit, and there's some kind of time stack on why they need to make the decision right this moment. Even if it's before you die in that car crash because you're racing this week. Again, if you can make any one of these super particular to your audience, that's even better. The next one is going to be the speed bullet. So you can kind of get the same, you can start to see these start to sound the same down here. That feature so you can benefit. The thing that we're adding over here is it's going to be make something easy or it's going to make something fast. The investment method so you can retire at 30 that only takes 5 minutes a day. That makes your life easy as pie. I don't know, something fast or easy. People are lazy. Lazy. We want to do something really quick so we can get back to our Netflix or our HBO. The deep dive bullet is going to be similar to that give me. You're going to actually, similar, look, how to, so you can, exactly the same. We're taking the deep dive. Number 2, lesson 2 is going to show you exactly how to write copy that sells in less than 5 minutes. You're actually telling them very, very specifically. If you've got a client that has a big barrier in front of them, adding that one and that deep dive, that can break down some of those barriers. And then my favorite that I do up here without even thinking about is Frankenstein. You just take all of that and smush it together in the most biggest run-on sentence you possibly can and get away with. So you can sit there and say how-to features so you can benefit just like Warren Buffett with just 5 minutes a day, but it's only good for the next week. Does that make sense? You're just smushing as much as possible in there. The Frankenstein was how I did the headline that was search engine optimized, played off Ryan's name. That was a completely Frankenstein blog headline. It did wonderful. It makes a difference. When people read it, it changes. The way I write the blog post because of the copy training is completely different. So the only thing that I will leave you with before I open it for questions is when you're writing copy for selling, it's not like your English teacher wanted. In fact, you can take your English teacher and just, you know you wanted a punter. She would be mad at you if you wrote copy that was for sales. So when I wrote the particular blog post that did so well, think about like a mountain biker. A mountain biker doesn't just go up straight, right? If you took your blog post or your writing or your email or whatever and you laid it sideways, it would be little hills first and then get into the bigger ones. So if I go up to Eric, I don't say, hi Eric, and I'm going to go into a big monologue and you're going to listen to me and it's going to be... That's how your English teachers write the full paragraph of 3 to 5 sentences, right? You can't do that. I go, hey, what's up, Eric? How you doing? Well, I'm doing good, Jenna. It's been a long week, a long time no see. Oh, I know, right? And you go in those little bitty pieces. Start writing all of your copy like that. You don't just jump into big paragraphs. Little sentences, you break it up. You might only have 5 words on a line and then enter 20 words, enter 5 words. Like, you're changing it up.
A lot of people could learn that in just regular communication and texting. People who send you lengthy texts.
And I was terrible.
With
I had to work on it.
with 4 or 5 questions or observations, or even sending you a LinkedIn, automated text and gives all this stuff. I mean, by the time you
especially nowadays.
And people respond to the last thing. So if you had your question you wanted up here, you've got to really give them a chance to create a dialogue.
Use these, but create conversation. So when you're writing, remember, like I'm going to circle this back around to the avatar. That is something I noticed in every good movie or TV show. Wherever it starts is where it ends. There's something that wraps it back. So wrapping it back to the avatar. Create your avatar, hang that shit up on the wall, glue it to the side of your computer, carry it around in your wallet like a little mini version, and every time you have to write an email, even though it's not to that person maybe, but it's somebody who's similar, who meets that avatar profile that you've created, have that out with a picture of them on it so you can visualize, because we're visual creatures, and write your email, write your copy, write your sales letters, write anything that it is that you're doing. Have that person in mind and ask yourself, how would I have a conversation with this person? When I say this, what's the next thing they're going to say? How do I respond to that? Go back and forth. How would this person in a conversation like this to go? And you'll that writer's block you get, how do I write this email? Right out the window. Because when you're having a conversation, it's easy. Any questions? Everyone's like dead, brain just fried.
No, it's actually great.
It's good stuff. Very good.
In my neighborhood, it's like nothing but questions.
All right, let's give Jena. So that was awesome. And actually, all that stuff I've heard her preach before or teach before, but it's always good to remember. I sat there and wrote down, reminded myself of those things